You are listening to the Cittadella USA show, the only news and podcast in English about AS Cittadella.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Cittadella USA show, episode number 160, coming to you on Wednesday, February 12th. The biggest result of the season, perhaps, for Cittadella as they get a 1-0 victory in Pisa against a undefeated Pisa at the Cittadella Arena at that point. But Luca Pandolfi's goal in the 83rd minute seals the win, and as well as some controversy at the end, some heated moments with the celebration. We have a lot to unpack in this episode, and to help us for the first time, we are having him on this podcast. He's a writer for PianetaSerieB. He actually did a fantastic article about me a few weeks ago on my journey with Cittadella USA. Please welcome Francesco Fedele from PianetaSerieB. Francesco, how are you?
Hello everyone, Jake. It's such a great pleasure to be here with you. I'm fine. Hope you're fine too. It's, as I was saying, a great pleasure to be here with you because I've been following what you're doing, and I'm really appreciating your stuff, your job with Cittadella, because it's amazing the journey you're building up, amazing the article you're writing. So trust me, a great pleasure to be here to talk about football and Cittadella with you.
Yeah, it was. You were on my list for an upcoming guest, and you actually texted me. You kind of like jokingly said, like, I'm waiting for the invitation, but I was actually I was literally just about to message you either this week or the next week for because I was wanting another guest, and what better time to do it after that result in Pisa, Cittadella getting a 1-0 victory then. But before we start going into that game and obviously getting ready for the Catanzaro match, you also did a fantastic interview with Claudio Cassano's agent, who he's just been announced with the Chicago Fire. So we'll talk about that in a little. But before we do that, I want to, we could just tell the audience what you do for PianetaSerieB. Do you also write for other publications? What do you do as a football journalist?
Jake, first of all, let me say to our audience that we could have done the episode of podcast even in Italian, because sometimes we have spoken in Italian on Instagram and you're so fluent with Italian, so we are doing it in English, but trust me that you're really good with Italian, and I want that our audience know this. So about myself, let me say I'm a little bit shy, so it's a complicated moment for me, but I'm founder with other colleagues, other friends of PianetaSerieB, web newspaper, web journal that we have created. Now it's 2025, so 7-8 years ago, while we were doing our school, the secondary school. I don't know how you say in English. It's liceo in Italian.
High school.
Yeah. High school. Yes, high school. Oh, I'm so bad. High school.
It's okay. No.
And we started our journey, and so PianetaSerieB nowadays, I think it's a really, not just because I'm into this journey, but I think that PianetaSerieB is a good newspaper to know something about Serie B, and so I hope that our audience can start to follow us. And besides PianetaSerieB, we have even created Pianeta Champions. It's a different web journal where we are talking about Serie A, Liga, Premier League, other leagues, not about second divisions such as PianetaSerieB. We have created Pianeta Champions in collaboration with OneFootball. It's like a player such as DAZN and similar things like that. And so I'm trying to do something with the journalism because it's my passion. I'm a shy person, so when I can write, it's like I'm showing my soul towards football, and I love writing. I love reading. But everything starts from my passion for football. So I'm trying to build up something I hope interesting, and I'm always trying to learn something more. I love football. I love studying players. I love studying matches. I love reading articles from my colleagues, such as you, Jacob, because I know your collaboration, your stuff you're doing with Trento Goal. So I want to say another time that you're really good, even with Italian, and I try to do my best. And so let's see what happens.
Yeah, well, first of all, you don't have to apologize for your English because, I struggle a lot with my Italian when I'm on, different podcaster shows. So please do not worry. You speak
Okay.
very good English.
Thank
So
you very much.
please don't worry. And I also appreciate, yes, for Tri Veneto Goal. Yes, thank you very much. As we know, we've been starting to write for it in November, I think it was back, or December. I can't
No,
remember
okay.
for sure, but yeah, that's it's very Serie B is such an interesting league, and obviously it isn't maybe it's not the level of Serie A, and maybe it's not as followed much as these bigger leagues, but I still find it fascinating. I mean, you could just I know we say this a lot, but every team can really beat anyone on any given day. I know it sounds kind of cliche, but it really is. And if you look at the
100%.
standings, right now, Cittadella, for as bad of a season that they're having, and for as much of the struggles they've had, they're only 3 points away from the playoff
Yes.
spot.
And
But
they're even 3 points above for play out. So they're in the
yeah,
middle.
exactly. And
Yes,
if you want
incredible
to
league.
go even further, Caradese, who were in the playoff spots just a few weeks ago, now they're in the relegation playout. So
Oh,
it
yes.
really changes so quickly, and that's kind of why I really love this league. And it kind of it's a little strange for an American to say that from.
About what you're saying, sorry for if I'm rude. If I'm
Yeah,
rude,
go ahead.
okay, thank you very much. About this point you're talking about, when I talk with my colleagues, with people to talk about Serbia, I always try to tell them not focused on the results, because when you start from the result of a game, or five, six last games, and you try to build a sentence, to build a position, to say something, it's very dangerous, because in Serbia, with 3, 4, 5 matches, the goal of a team, the goal of a club can totally change. So I'm always trying to say to these people, let's see the matches, let's see how our team works, how team plays, because if you only focus on the results, on the classification, it could be dangerous, because in 4 or 5 matches, you maybe you have to change your opinion because everything has changed. So let's see the games, let's see how team plays in order to say something correct, because in Serbia you cannot predict something, because it's a so balanced league, a so interesting league. In my opinion, more than Serie A, because in Serie A you have that 4, 5, 6 teams that can compete for Scudetto, for winning the title. While in Serie B we have Sassuolo that is making something incredible, but in general in Serie B, until the last minute, no, the last second of the last game, you can know everything. So it's even for this reason that me, such as you, I think we love following Serie B, because it's an incredible league. Trust me,
Yeah,
I totally agree with you, because it's an incredible league.
I totally agree. And Cittadella just did what Spezia, Sampdoria, and I wrote a list out. Bari, I think it was Sassuolo. They did
So
what they couldn't do, was to beat Pisa in Pisa this last weekend, giving them their first loss in over 350 days. I think it was, since the last time they lost at the Cettilar Arena. And yeah, before we get a little more into that game, yeah, I totally agree with you that this league is crazy at some times, and there's some great quality. You get a lot of players, like especially young players that maybe aren't getting the minutes in Serie A. They get to play every week here, and you get to watch them. So it's really a fascinating thing. But let's dive into this Pisa result, because this was, I was thinking it was probably the biggest result of the season for Cittadella, regarding from all the outside talk, from all like the on-field differences between Pisa and Cittadella, from all the against all odds, Cittadella gets the win in Pisa. Francesco, I know you weren't at this game because I'm looking right now. You were covering the Cosenza Carrarese match. Is that correct?
Yes,
Yes.
correct.
Yes.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I know you probably didn't watch this game, but
Yes. I watched it because thanks to DAZN, I have the opportunity to watch the games even during the week. So even if I know the result, I always try to watch every match of the Serie of the Serie B of Serie B of the week of the Serie B. Sorry, I was looking for the right word. So I've watched the game.
Perfect. Yeah. So you want to, what were some of your takeaways from this match?
It was, trust me, you were saying the biggest result of the season, and I am 100% agreeing with you because it was a remarkable victory. Because as we know, Pisa they're making something incredible, but they're competing for Serie A. Because let's say the truth, Pisa is competing for Serie A, but Cittadella in a really tough game. Because in my opinion, it wasn't a beautiful match to see because much intensity, long balls, fights on the pitch. So Cittadella showed an excellent, in my opinion, defensive phase, and they managed to cancel to beat Pisa offensive phase, showing, as I was saying, great tactical organization, great defensive phase. So an incredible result, and they have found the winning goal with Luca Pandolfi, and as we have told on Instagram, he looked like Lionel Messi doing that
with he cupping his ears in front of the Pisa bench.
like during World Cup. So as I was saying, Cittadella showed great personality, character, so an incredible result following, I think, a good period for Dal Canto's guys because they found a better way than the one they had with Gorini. So important victory. I think not, as I was saying, in a beautiful game, in my opinion, but if we look just to 3 points, incredible victory against all odds, as you were saying. So incredible, really incredible.
This was, I'd say, probably a managerial masterclass from Dal Canto because he came in with a plan. He was going to allow Pisa, they could have the ball, and we're going to counter, or we're going to break on the counter, and that's exactly what Cittadella did. I will say, Pisa missed many chances in this game. Yes. It was one of those games where they could have stayed there until midnight and they still wouldn't have scored.
They wouldn't have scored. Yes.
And that's even Pippo Inzaghi said that after the match. He said, I think it was after they hit the post in stoppage time. He said, we're not going to win this. That's it was already the soccer gods are not in this match. But Cittadella only had 3 touches inside Pisa's penalty box at halftime. That's how, it was. First half, I think it was kind of dull. There was not many chances on both sides. But, you have to say that Pisa definitely missed a lot of chances in this match. And, maybe they deserved a draw. But, credit to Dal Canto, credit to Cittadella for getting this victory. And, I want to talk about Pandolfi because he did that celebration. He said after, a few days after that, it was nothing personal. It was just a moment of liberation for me because he had not scored since, I believe it was Boxing Day against Südtirol.
Yes.
I don't know. I have a hard time believing it was nothing personal because, we knew prior to the match that this game it meant a lot for both clubs. I think more for Cittadella because obviously, there was that famous incident earlier this season, the 3-0 forfeited result, Cittadella drawing against Pisa on the 3rd match day, but then that result getting chalked off for a 3-0 win for Cittadella, not being able to field Jacobo de Sogos, but they did anyway. And, I think that really did not go well. That didn't go down well with Cittadella, within the squad. So I think there was definitely something there. There could have been something that the Pisa bench was chirping at Pandolfi before the game, so that could have been something that could have been a thing there. But I think it was, we might have to wait a while to find out the real reason, because I just have no, I just have a hard time believing you run all the way to the Pisa bench. You run all the way to the other side, cup your ears right in front of them, kind of aggravate them, and say, no, it was nothing personal. It was just for me. So I don't know. I don't know how much I have a hard time believing. But, another thing I want to say about Pandolfi is, how many goals has he scored in these big moments? I mean, you could go back to Palermo last season, scoring in the 97th minute to get his first Cittadella goal. You could go back to this season, also in Palermo, to get another late goal at the Barbera to win. You got the matches last year, also against Palermo at home and against Sampdoria in that huge crowd at the Tombolato, in front of the 50th anniversary shirts in that game. You got the match against Südtirol this season, scoring in the 80th minute to get them a 2-1 victory. Just, this guy is, when Cittadella needs him the most, he delivers. And so
let me say something about, because you're giving me a great opportunity. I know a few months ago, maybe last year, I was talking with a former Luca Pandolfi's coach. His name is Franco Fabiano, and he worked with Luca with 2 races in Italian Serie C, our 3rd division. And he told me, because we made an interview, I met even Franco Fabiano in Eccellenza Campana. It is like our non-league, a lower league. And we were doing this interview, and I asked him about Luca, and he told me, Francesco, and he's, how can I say, a shy person. He doesn't speak too much because he's a 60-year-old man, so that kind of person. But he told me, Francesco, Luca can do everything with his body, with his talent. Because Fabiano, now he's playing like a number 9. He's not number 9, but to be clear, it's playing like a number 9, but he's not like a number 9, because he was born in football like number 7, number 11, a left wing, right wing, but he has the body and the knowledge of football to play everything. And who better than a former coach can tell us something like that? And he told me, I remember these words: he can do everything. If he has, or he keep having this mentality that he's showing, as you were saying, because when the temperature is high, Luca appears. So he has that skill, but with his talent, with his body, with his technical, he can do everything. He told me. And so even to do to our audience something like this, a person close to Luca, like his former coach, Mr. Franco Fabiano, he told me that, and I am totally agree, because I think that it's like, don't know if this is the right word, but underestimate player, because I think he can have even a better journey in football than the one he's having. He is giving credit and goals and stuff to Cittadella, and so I really respect him. But with his qualities, I think that he could be a Serie A player, because I've not seen in the modern era of Italian football so many players that can do with profit, with results, the stuff that Luca can do as a number 7, number 11, number 9. So for me, an amazing player, really. So I thought, even in this case, I totally agree with you, because amazing player for important moments, because I was saying that great players appear in important moments, because if you're winning 5-0 and you score 2 goals, it's maybe easier. If you are in a 0-0 match, and I don't know the way, but if you score the 1-0 and you do this stuff once, twice, 2 times, you're an important player. And Luca is an important player, because scoring against teams like Palermo, Pisa, it's something important. So I really hope that the journey of this player can become better and better, because I really appreciate him.
Yeah, he's already creating his legendary status within the Cittadella fan base just because of all his fanatics, the celebration and stuff. And yeah, I think also this was a big moment for him. Just let's talk about the goal. It was just well placed into the corner, just the composure to not take a touch or just to kind of easily roll it in following that fast break. It was also I could definitely, he did say, like I said, it was a moment of liberation for him. That's why he did the celebration. But he was struggling a little bit in these last few games against Spezia and against Mantova. He missed some really big opportunities to at least score in those matches that could have gotten the results. So this was definitely a big moment for him. And just given how the season has gone for Cittadella, it's the sixth win on the road, and I'm actually writing an article right now for Tri Veneto Goal, and it's actually the sixth win that's already more, or they've already here. I have it right here, and let me give you a better thing right now. Let me open it up.
Yeah.
Let's see if my computer works today. No, I guess not. Okay. Well, no. It was basically what I was writing about, and what I was basically alluding to was Cittadella has just been, surprisingly pretty good on the road. Here we go. They already have the same amount of points that they had last year on the road. They already have 2 more wins than that, and they've already equaled. They only need 1 more win on the road to have more wins than they have had on each season in the last since, what was it, 2020 2021 season. So even under Venturato, they couldn't get to the 7 wins on the road in this final season with Cittadella. So it's very interesting. I still think the Tombolato curse or the Tombolato taboo is still a thing for Cittadella, because I think it still is. It's still. I think the players do still feel some pressure when it comes to playing at the Tombolato, just given how bad it's been in 2024. And I know they have 2 wins this year there. Finally, after getting the one against Palermo and against Reggiana. However, I think going on the road, kind of with a different mentality, I think it's really, really good. Do you have something to say about that? I know you were kind of.
I just want to, because you mentioned a person that I have really appreciated in Cittadella, Roberto Venturato, and I have even read your article, the interview you made with him. Congratulations, it was very nice, and I was used. Let me touch this point. I was used to a very aggressive Cittadella, Venturato's Cittadella, because they made something historical both together. And while with Dal Canto, even with Gorini, but now with Dal Canto, they're paying attention to different things while they're playing, because now Cittadella, in my opinion, plays more with low blocks. They're giving much more attention to defensive phase, while Venturato Cittadella was a team, aggressive, intense, proactive, if there's this word in English. And even I was a Venturato's man. Let me say this, but I don't want to say that Dal Canto's Cittadella is worse than the other one, because Dal Canto, he has given tactical organization, he has given serendipity to a team who was losing everything like Cittadella, and he's even giving, he's enhancing, he's giving value to players like Masciangelo, D'Alessio, who is playing with him. So
Carisoni.
That kind of Carisoni, Tronkin, that kind of players that fits well into a system where you have to go deep to pay attention and then play with a low block and then run. And so he's doing an important job. but I was Avventurato's man. So I want to say this because you have mentioned him. And about Tombolato, I don't want to say something wrong, but I think that Cittadella is the worst team this season while playing at home because they have like 11 points, I think. So it's something they have to change. But if you analyze, if you study this period, and if you try to say something into your matches, I think that victory is coming. I don't know when, but more victories are coming because Cittadella, in terms of mentality and in terms of organization, they're doing something important. So I think that the journey has started and it will not finish.
Yeah. Well, first of all, going back to Venturato, I did actually do the interview with him last month at the start of the year, and he was great, and he was always, even though it didn't ended how many at Cittadella wanted to, it was still he did something that will forever be historic in Serie B and within the Cittadella history. So lots of credit to him. Yes, I do agree that Del Canto has given a little more stability. The thing about Del Canto, I will say, is ever since he came to Cittadella, he's always remained positive. He's always had this positive attitude that I think was I don't think it was missing, but I think it was needed, because ever since the day he was presented in the Conferenza Stampa, he was always said, nothing is wrong with this team. It's normal to have these bit of a struggle at the start when the team is doing bad. And it did start off slow for him. He didn't get a win. Oh, his first win was against Palermo. That's when Pandolfi scored. But it really didn't start well, and it really started to take off when they finally got that home win against Reggiana on the 21st of December. And since then, Cittadella has gotten, I'm looking right now, 4 wins and 1 draw, also 2 losses against Mantova and Spezia. But I do. Another thing, like you said, yes, Cittadella is indeed the worst team statistically in Serie B at home, with only 2 wins, 5 draws, and 5 losses. One of those losses is the 3-0 Tavellino result against Pisa. So it was so it should be 2 wins, 6 draws, and 4 losses. But on paper, it won't count like that. But yeah.
And Jake, I was thinking about if saying this, or if say or not this. I don't know if you want to clip what I'm saying, then we can talk on Instagram about that. But after Gorini was sacked, I can tell you 100% Marchetti called Venturato. I'm like Fabrizio Romano in this moment, but Marchetti called Venturato in order to try to do something. But I don't know, trust me, I don't know why they didn't reach an agreement. But Marchetti was another time close to Cittadella. Then Marchetti and the club went on Dal Canto, and everything is history. But Venturato was another time close to Cittadella. To say another time how good was the journey together, the journey they had until 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, well, I actually asked Venturato about this when I interviewed him. He did say, like, no, there was nothing there. He didn't. It was only in the newspapers. So, I mean, that's what he said. Who knows if it's true or not? But I mean, look, Marchetti he's already brought back Davide Dio. He's brought back Buonquo. He went back to Salvi 2 years ago, when Cittadella were also struggling. So, yeah, I mean, it's not out of the realms of possibility that he'd want to, bring the gang back all together at Cittadella. And, they were at a time where Cittadella was in, desperate need. And that was definitely a revolutionary move, I'd say, from Marchetti to sack Guarini. Like we said, Cittadella having not sacked a coach in 30 years or whatever it was, the first time in the Marchetti era. So it was definitely a monumental moment for that. But I kind of want to move along on this podcast a little. Francesco, I know you just did an interview with Claudio Cassano's agent, if I'm not mistaken. And Cassano, he's actually not that far from me right now. He's in the desert right now, and in Palm Springs near Coachella, training with the Chicago Fire in preseason as they get ready. And yes, so Cassano is with the Fire. The deal has been done, signing until I think it was 2027. The last time I checked, the deal was confirmed.
Yes.
And we talked about how Greg Berhalter really wanted him after seeing him last year in Venezia playing. And so why don't you tell everyone just basically what his agent kind of told you in that article, in their interview?
Yes, Jake. I've had this conversation with Frank Cozzotti, Frank for the friends, and he's not properly Cassano's agent, but he's like a talent scout who is working with Claudio Vigorelli's agency, and Vigorelli is the real Cassano agent. But Frank Cozzotti, he told me, I don't know if I can say this in English, but he told me I'm like the football father of Cassano, because they both come from Barletta in Puglia, the same city and same Italian region, and so he has been with Cassano, since he was maybe 11, 12 years old. So before that he went to AS Roma, and now he works in with Vigorelli, and he was the one who let the two parts of the negotiation, Cassano and Chicago Fire, put something together. And we talked about this movement, the thing of Cassano to Chicago Fire, because I told Frank it's something atypical, because it's not so usual to see a young player, a very talented player going from Cittadella going from Serie B to MLS. Even because, I don't know if you know, but I think yes, because you come from that. So Cassano signed for Chicago Fire too, for the second team, with an MLS Next Pro deal. So he will start playing with the second team. And so even for this reason, I told Frank, but why? Because it's not Chicago Fire, it's Chicago Fire too. And he told me, you're making a mistake because it was like a formal thing that he signed with the second team, but he will play with the first team, he will train with the first team, he will spend the few weeks, the few months with the second team, but to go with the first team. And he told me, I think a nice and important thing. He told me, not think just about the sport, not think just about football, because he's living a small city like Cittadella to go to Chicago.
That's crazy.
For a 21 years old guy to go to Chicago to learn English, to play a different kind of football, to live a different kind of life, to meet a different kind of culture, is something that gives something to the person, not just the football player. So, and he told me another thing, that Chicago Fire's owner is the same of Lugano's owner in Switzerland. So, and even he told me Chicago Fire, they were the team who gave to the football John Duran, that Al Nasser has recently paid like 80 million euros. And so we're talking about a club that knows how to do something important in football. And even for a young player like Cassano, could be an important step, even because he's only 21 years old. He told me, Frank told me, he's not making something like Lorenzo Insigne. After 15 years of Serie A, of Napoli, Pescara, he has gone to Toronto to earn money, and because he's at the ending point of his career. Cassano is starting his journey. So, and I agree. Now that I'm thinking about what he told me, I agree with Frank, because he told me not focused on the football aspect, even with the football aspect, but think about even the the life. To be clear.
Yeah, that's I like I was also thinking about it. I mean, how crazy that going to be for him, just the shock of going from a tiny town in Veneto of 20,000 people to like one of the biggest cities in the world. And I think one of of the reasons of this move is because of the tactical change by
Yes.
Cittadella. In the first part of the last season, Cassano was super important for Cittadella. He was scoring goals, he was assisting, and once Cittadella went on that 8-game losing streak, something had to change, and that really limited Cassano's role within the team, and then that continued on to this year. And towards the end of his Cittadella tenure, he was on the bench a lot. And for a 21-year-old, I think, he has to be playing more. And one thing that I will say about this move is, it is good. Yes, he is playing with the second team, and, he's probably going to start there and then gradually make his way up. But one thing I think is really going to help him is that Greg Berhalter, the Fire's coach, he wanted him. He really wanted to sign him. So he's definitely on his radar. It's not like, he's just going to be on the reserves. I think he's definitely in Berhalter's plans for the upcoming season and the next season possibly. And I listen, as a United States men's national team fan, I know it didn't go well for him, but I still think he's a good coach for MLS.
And let me say about this point,
yes,
because I was forgetting before. Frank Zotti told me that Berhalter, before that he signed with Chicago Fire, we're talking about during summer, he was in contact with several MLS clubs, not with Chicago before. And Frank told me, and I don't know the way, I don't know how. Let me think about the thing. He made like a sort of contact with Vigorelli and Pesce, the other man who is working with Vigorelli, the other agent of Cassano. And because let me repeat, we are talking about last summer, and they made a contact, and Berhalter told them, I don't know the team where I'm going, but I want Cassano with me. And we're talking about last summer. Then, as Frank told me, but we can see the numbers and the benches, things for Cassano and Cittadella getting worse and worse, and so then the move became official with Chicago Fire. But in something that Berhalter planned months and months ago, not just during winter session of transfer market. And as Frank told me, Cassano was a little bit tired of being in this situation because 21 years old, he wants to play, even because I think the player is really good. He's like a number 10. Cittadella, as we were saying before, does not play with a number 10. They want kick and run. Cassano is like, in Argentina they say the enganche, the number 10, the player who gives goals and assists playing with a number 9. And so now I think that Chicago could be a great opportunity to get back in the game and prove himself, and even to the people that he can play at an higher level that he was playing during last months. Because I was reading the numbers and data. He was on the bench like in 7 of his last 9 games in Cittadella, and the 2 games that he played like 33 or 35 minutes combined. It couldn't be a situation for a player of his quality. So there's a reason why. A reason why.
Yeah, well, first of all, for everyone listening, I apologize if my audio quality just got really worse there, because my microphone just died, and so I just have to speak into my computer right now. But yeah, I do agree with you. It's for a 21-year-old with that much talent, and I think a lot of Cittadella fans, he was really a fan favorite. Everyone seemed to like him, and people kept asking, why isn't Cassano playing? Why isn't Cassano starting? And I think the reason why is because it didn't fit Cittadella's system really anymore. It really had changed from last season, where where he was really in that number 10 role. But something really had to change when Cittadella went from the 4-3-1-2, where Cassano was playing in that, like you said, number 10 role, to 3 in the back, 5 in the midfield, and 2 up front. That's what's happened after the 8 straight losses. And I was actually rewatching some of the highlights from the Venezia match that Berhalter first saw Cassano, and Cassano played excellent in that match. He created many chances. He was very creative, very technical player, but he really shined for Cittadella, even though they lost that. And I think that's when Berhalter decided, I think I'm going to sign this player wherever I might be. And so I think that's just like I said earlier, it's just really important that at least the coach really wants him. He might start at the lower levels, but it's not like Berhalter is just going to completely forget about him, or he would not have brought him all the way from Italy to Chicago if he didn't really want him, or didn't think he was part of the project in Chicago. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I'm looking forward to it because obviously living in America, I could watch him basically every week with Apple TV. Even in Italy, you could watch every game on the League Pass. Even the second division MLS Next Pro games you could watch for on Apple TV. So that's going to be very interesting. And who knows?
And when I was talking with Frank Zotti, he even told me now Cassano is in Los Angeles during the preseason with Chicago Fire, and he sent me on WhatsApp the photos and videos that Cassano sent to him of the place where they are doing the preseason. It was something. And I told him, imagine 21 years old living in Cittadella with small city, small club in terms of importance for the country, living in that situation, to go to Los Angeles in a sport academy like that one, in places like the one he's going to discover. It was incredible. And I want to add, I have even sent a message to Claudio, because Frank told me, sent him a message. He's a nice guy. I didn't know him. I didn't know Cassano, and he was very, very nice and kind on Instagram. He told me thanks for the message, for the article. So very nice guy. So I really wish him the best, because I wish him the best for his career, but even for his human being growth, because to be in that context and to be in Chicago, I think that could be something very, very important for him. So
yeah, and I think if I read correctly, he's not going to be he's basically going to be making the same amount of money as he did in Cittadella,
just something more, but a few.
Just a little, but more or less it's the same. So it's really he really wants to kind of restart his career, and I think Berhalter will definitely give him the opportunities. That's another thing I wanted to say is I think it is one positive of going there is the facilities are just much better than Cittadella's. That's normal, because you have a team, really rich team in Chicago, and you're comparing a village team like Cittadella, just really 20,000 inhabitants. It's obviously they're not going to have the same amount of resources, but I can only imagine Cassano's shocked, because the Fire play at Soldier Field. That's the home of the Chicago Bears. That's like a 60,000 seat stadium. So going from the Tumbolato of a 7,000 capacity stadium to the 60,000, it's going to be quite something for him. And yeah, he's actually, like you said, he's in LA. Well, he's like 2 hour drive from LA, to Palm Springs, which is a little in the desert. I've been there and made many trips to there. Yeah, so it's like 2 hours, but yeah, it's a nice place, and I'm sure he's going to be doing all right with the Fire. So Yeah, so good luck to Cassano. We'll definitely be following him, and who knows, maybe he'll be back in Italy someday. But moving on to the final part of the podcast, because we gotta be wrapping up soon, is this upcoming match day on Valentine's Day for Cittadella. Catanzaro, Cittadella at the Stadio Cerrovalo in Calabria, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's an 8:30 p.m. European time. Only the fourth ever meeting between the two sides, between Catanzaro and Cittadella. But interestingly, that Catanzaro has only lost 3 times this season, but they have had a lot of draws. They love to draw 15 of them out of the 25 games they have drawn. They currently sit 5th place with 36 points. It's another difficult match. It's a long road trip coming after that really emotional win in Pisa. This could I could definitely see a lot of difficulties for the Granata in this match. But Francesco, I want to ask you the difference between Catanzaro this year and last year. Last year under Viverini, they defied all expectations. They were one of the, honestly, one of the best teams to watch, just given their playing style, just given how good they were in possession and building up from the back. They were one of the best, most fun teams, entertaining teams to watch. And this year under Fabio Caserta, they've, kind of done the same thing. I mean, I haven't watched many of their games, but, drawing a lot, and they currently sit 5th place. And, that's where they finished last season. And as it stands, they would finish there again. So, Francesco, I want to ask you, how much of Catanzaro have you watched this year, and what are some of the differences between Caserta's team and Viverini's team from the past?
I used to watch Catanzaro's games, but trust me that you have told the truth, because Catanzaro last year shocked the Serie B, and I think I want to add not just Serie B, because it was one of the best teams to watch all over Italian leagues, because they played. You were something how they created from the back, their ability in building up something interesting from the back, how they were nice to watch, how they were how can I say, how they were offensive. So it was an amazing journey with Caserta. I think things didn't start well, not just because their relationship, they were in love with draws, as you were saying, but even because they weren't as nice as last year to be watched, if I can say so. But now they're finding their way, not with a possession game, not with a very offensive style of playing like the one they had with Vivarini, but they're finding their way. They are building their season on Pietro Mello, their king, and in fact, indeed, they call him Re Pietro because it's like their leader. They're finding even other resources such as Giacomo Quagliata, Pontisso, Pagano. So they're trying to rebuild something important, but I think that they can't reach the level they had last year, because in football there are seasons where everything it's like everything is connected, everything is working in the best way. And because if you see what Vivarini did with Frosinone this year, even Vivarini wasn't the same over the last season, because everyone involved in that Catanzaro's project were in the right place at the right moment. So I think that Catanzaro can repeat, and I'm talking about in terms of style, in terms of way they play. They can draw. So to say another time the word draw, they can draw with Catanzaro's of last year, because that Catanzaro was another level. But if you see, Catanzaro now is at the 5th place. So they're making an absolutely important championship, an important league. So it will be a tough game for Cittadella, but Cittadella, I think, has the abilities, has the capacity to put Catanzaro in difficulty, because Catanzaro has, I think, even watching the last game with Frosinone, Catanzaro has a problem with the opponent plays with a low block when they have to move the ball quickly to case something. Catanzaro even if they're finding resources, as I was saying, not only Bielmello but Quagliata. I really like Pagano. Pagano played with Cassano in the AS Roma out sector. They're finding good players. Pontiso, Pompetti when he plays, Catanzaro as an important squad. But when they face low blocks, they get in trouble. Even because Fabio Caserta, that sometimes I have had with him conversations. He's a nice person, but Caserta always struggled in Serie B. And while this is the first year that is making an important, because even with the US Stabia and he got relegated with Cosenza and he did not make something important, it's the first year that he's finding his balance in Serie B. So even this. He's trying to create something, but he's getting sometimes in trouble, like during last game with Frosinone. So I think that Cittadella has the structure to create problems to Catanzaro. So it will be 100% tough game from Cittadella. But I think that even if maybe the odds are giving much more credit to Catanzaro, but Cittadella can do something important, because as I was saying, Cittadella has the style and has the structure to create problems to Catanzaro.
Yeah, and very interesting just how they've drawn so many games. Cittadella have actually won more games this season than Catanzaro. They've won 8 games, meanwhile Catanzaro just 7. But the catch is obviously Catanzaro only losing 3 of those and currently sitting 5th with 36 points. Another thing that I've been keeping track of, and I do this all the time, I've been keeping track of every team doing this, is they've actually won the most points from a losing position. What that basically means is, the times they have gone behind, they've trailed, they've given up a goal or whatever, and they are losing, they've won the most points. They've gotten the most points from those positions out of any team in Serie B with 13 points. Only 12 times that's happened. They've won 2 of those games and drawn 7. So, and just an example, just like last weekend, they were down against Frosinone. They came back to draw that, so they get 1 point from there. And so 13 points from that. And I worry for Cittadella just a little bit, because it is kind of a short turnaround. You're playing on a Friday night. It's not it's a long road trip, so they're going to have to fly there. They're going to have to do that stuff, and obviously
it's a different week when you play on Friday night. Taking a flight to go there, it's a different week, and this gives even this create I won't say a problem, but it changes even the week, because you have to prepare the match in a different way. So I agree with you. Yes.
Yeah, and also just I'm a little worried from Cittadella's point of view, just because given just how just emotionally draining that win was in Pisa, that took a lot from the team just to kind of grind out that result, and then having to go back on the road the following week in less than 6 days back on the road. It's definitely going to be a tough one. But like you said, I think definitely that they can draw in this match, and I wouldn't be surprised if that happens, because Catanzaro has drawn 15 games this season. But definitely it's going to be interesting. Carisoni is going to be coming back from yellow card suspension. It's going to be interesting to see if Davide Dio is healthy for this match, because he did miss the last game, as he was still not in match fitness level, as well as Okonkwo still kind of getting his fitness back in that match. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting game to see at the Cerrovalo. Like I said, only the 4th ever meeting between the two sides. The last meeting at the Tombolato, I think it was definitely a game where Cittadella could have definitely won. They had many chances in that game to win, but it ended in a 0-0 draw. So let's see what happens in this game. But if you have do you have any other thoughts on this match, key insights for this game before we start to wrap things up?
Just nothing. I would say that I was mentioning before Pietro Mello. it will be the number one problem for Cittadella because it is in an incredible moment. He is playing an incredible football. Is when I watch him playing, it's like in that season when every time he touches ball, he's creating something. So even for an important team in terms of defensive ability, such as Cittadella, Yamel will be the number one problem, as I was saying, and even attention to Pagano because I think that is coming out is coming outside because in the first part of the season he was not playing. Now he's playing and he's playing, I think, in a very nice way because he's playing like a midfielder, but he always tries to go deep and to get something like a number 10, even if, and as I was saying, he was a midfielder, but an offensive midfielder. So these two, I think that will be the problem for Cittadella, Pagano and Gemello. But let's see what happens. I think that even, as I was saying before, even if the odds are giving credit to Catanzaro, I think that Cittadella can do something good during this match because I think that in terms of tactics, Cittadella has a structure to create problems to Catanzaro. So let's see what happens.
Let's see what happens indeed. Well, there you have it. Catanzaro facing Cittadella at the Stadio Cerravalo, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 8:30 p.m. European Time on Valentine's Day. So let's see if Cittadella could get the best Valentine's gift for the Granata faithful. But Francesco, do you have anything else you want to add for this episode, or are we good to go?
Just want to say thank you for the invitation. Just want to say another time to your audience and even to my audience and even to PianetaSerieB audience that you're an example in journalism, but let me say even in life, because you're creating your journey with no help. You're creating your journey in, let me say, in the most difficult way because you're doing something incredible, talking about a team that's in the other part of the world. It's not like famous team. So I really wish that you can get the career that you deserve. I will keep following you as I'm doing, and just as I was saying, thank you very much for the invitation. I hope that our audiences keep following Serie B because it's an incredible league, and I hope that, and I say this part of our speech, I want to talk with my audience at PianetaSerieB audience. Let's follow Jake. Let's follow what he's doing. Let's follow his journey because he's an amazing guy, amazing person, important, incredible journalist. So thank you very much for this afternoon because in Italy it's like 7:10 p.m. I don't know what time is it in Arizona where you are now.
Very it's around 11, so we're almost
okay.
Perfect timing.
And so thank you very much for the afternoon you gave me. I hope that my English was good because I try to make my best with English, but it's not my native language, so nothing. Thank you very much, Jake.
Don't worry. Do not worry at all about that part. But yes, thank you, Francesco. It really means a lot for the words and also for your time here dedicated to the Cittadella USA show. With that said, why don't you tell everyone where they could follow you on social media or your work with the PianetaSerieB? Where can they find you?
They can, if they want, they can find me on PianetaSerieB. I hope that they will find PianetaSerieB, not just Francesco Fedele, because it's more important the team as players. Always are saying. While on my social media, if they want, you can find me on Instagram. My Instagram account is Francesco Fedele Press. My name, my surname, and press, so they can't make mistakes. And nothing. Let's see each other in our journeys, Jake.
All right. Well, regarding me, you could follow us, Cittadella USA, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, as well as visit our website, cittadellausa.com for match recaps, news articles as well. You could also follow or find our work at Triveneto Goal. Just we try to upload an article every week regarding Cittadella in Italian, so just stay on the lookout on our social medias. We'll be publishing that very, very shortly. Thank you, everyone, for listening to this episode of the Cittadella USA show. We will see you next week talking about the match against Catanzaro, as well as previewing the following game against Modena at home. Francesco, thank you once again for taking the time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Yes, we will see you soon. That's it for me today, as well as for Francesco. We will see you next week. And as always, Forza Città.
Thank you for listening to the Cittadella USA show. If you liked it, please share and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Cittadella USA. See you next time, and remember, Forza Città.